She was pretending you were wearing it.
Coach got excited. He almost wanted to look down.
There is a connection to you with this season.
Yeah,
so,
97 you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, we were trying to stop Barry Sanders in order to make the playoffs. We beat Detroit. We would have gone to the playoffs, and we worked all week, and we had them contained, and we did a really good job. We did a really good job until the fourth quarter, and then, yeah, those are
I told you, nobody listened to me. Y'all just went on to some sports story.
And then in the fourth quarter, Barry breaks off an unbelievable run. We end up losing the game. But when we talk about force multipliers, when we talk about special running backs, that's Barry Sanders. It didn't matter how much effort you put into stopping him. He was like water. He could always find the crack.
You guys just had to hold him under 131 yards, and he wouldn't have gotten 2,000.
Yeah.
He hit you for 184. Not great. My apologies, Coach.
Yeah, how much of that was, a lot of that was late.
Okay, what is underrated about that season, he had 2,053 rushing yards. He had 53 yards exactly his first 2 games. So he had 2,000 yards on the nose in the final 14. OJ obviously ran for 2,000 in a 14-game season. Barry essentially did the same thing weeks 3 through 16, thanks to you guys.
Yeah, well, any of these running backs who claim that they're special, that's Barry's special.
Oh, well, your standard is unbelievable. Well, if you're not Barry Sanders, you're not.
When people are talking about I'm the best of all time, I should be paid this, like, okay, go do something like he did.
What he did with the Lions, with that organization is amazing. Thanks to Bobby Ross to give him a fullback.
Genius. I had 14 things to say about that picture.
And Frank Gore is incredible, too.
We're waxing poetic about maybe the greatest running back not named Jim Brown ever.
Yeah, he got knocked out of the playoffs because of it.
Back to the Cowboys now at 5-6. Rumors have been swirling for weeks, maybe even years, that Jason Garrett is on the hot seat. But now those rumors are turning into reports. To Mike Freeman, the Cowboys need to win the Super Bowl for Garrett to keep his job. He's also reporting the team is targeting Urban Meyer or Josh McDaniels as possible replacements for Garrett. Jerry Jones was asked about his level of commitment to Garrett. Take a listen.
Let me tell you, no one in this country has earned the right to say, I'm a Jason Garrett man more than me. I am his man. And we want the very same thing, and that's for our players to play at their very best. And we want his staff to coach at their very best. The bottom line is we get graded. I'm in business. I don't have to win the Super Bowl in business every year. I can come in 6th and have a hell of a year. But in this business, you've got to come in first. You've got to come in first. And so fundamentally, you've asked for something that's a very narrow window to begin with. I want Jason to get it done.
All right. Nick, you think Jason Garrett really needs to win the Super Bowl to save his job?
Well, that would mean, if that's accurate, they could make the Super Bowl and he'd be fired in the next couple days. Because as Jay Glazer explained, he's right. His contract expires 3 days after whenever the season ends. So they are going to have to make a decision very quick. If he makes it to the end of the season, very quickly thereafter, do we extend him? Or it wouldn't even be a firing. It would just be letting the contract expire. As you know, your service here is no longer needed. If they make the Super Bowl, they're first in a quarter century. They are not moving on from Jason Garrett. What's much murkier to me is if they win the division, which they absolutely still could, and right now they're favored to, and then win a home playoff game, and you're in the exact spot you were in last year, winning the division despite a bad start, and part and thanks to a underachieving Philadelphia team, when next year the margin of difficulty is going to be so much higher because Dak is going to get paid. Even if they don't give him a contract extension, franchise tag is about 20 times what he's making this season. So you're going to have players that you got to pair off the roster no matter what you do with Dak, whether it's extension or franchise tag. Would you bring him back there? To me, when the reason the Cowboys have struggled is they can't beat good teams, they get off to terrible starts, and they can't win close games. All of those are tied to coaching and the in-game decision-making, and then saying publicly, oh, yeah, we don't use any analytics within the game. That, to me, is not defensible as a coach, to say we don't want all the available information to us. So for all those reasons, I don't think Jason Garrett's going to be the coach next year. If they make the Super Bowl, I think he will be. I don't think he has to win the Super Bowl to be the coach next year, but he has to go on a deep playoff run, something he's never done since being coach of the Cowboys.
Yeah, when I was a young coach, there was regime change, and the guy who took over brought me into his office and he said, you know, Eric, nobody's a bigger Eric Mangini fan than me, and then told me that he was going to go in a different direction. So when I hear those words, it's a little bit of the kiss of death, and he's trying to make sure that the team is still responding to Jason and give him an opportunity to be as successful as he can. But by saying this, it's also everybody knows things aren't heading in that direction. So there is going to be some more turmoil and uncertainty, and guys are going to be looking for other jobs, and it's not going to be focused on the task at hand as much as I think Jerry wants him to. In terms of analytics, I saw Jason Garrett at the MIT Sloan Analytic Conference, 5 or 6 years ago, whatever it was. He's a really bright guy. It's not that he doesn't use all the things that are available to him. I think that he may not use it as much as some other people do.
I'm just going by what he said.
Yeah.
I'm just going by, he was asked about it this week, if they look at things like win probability added or expected win percentage when making in-game decisions. And he said during the game, we don't look at that stuff. So maybe during the week they do.
Yeah,
but he was saying during the game, we don't look at that stuff.
Yeah, he's definitely, from an intellectual standpoint, I don't think that's a problem. It's at what point is his success this year enough? And if they get momentum, if they get on a winning streak, if they win the division, if there's a good feeling at the end of the year, then Jerry may take a step back and say, I'm going to try this one more time, because it's not easy to find someone to work with on a consistent basis. And it seems like Jerry and Jason have a really good working relationship. It's just how much momentum does he need going to the offseason to survive? And it looks like quite a bit.
See, the problem is, Coach, after 10 years, you lose the locker room. A lot of those guys have heard your stories. I can remember later in my career with Rex, I've already seen him cry a couple of times. I've heard the speeches before. So sometimes you don't get the effect from some of the things that you say when you have the same locker room. So either you change the coach or you change the players. The players, they have a core that's not going anywhere for a long time. And right now, I just think that Jason Garrett's message may not be getting through or sinking through to elevate this team. And it may be time to move on, because he's had 10 years. And within that division, in 10 years, you can arguably say that the Dallas Cowboys have had the best roster in football. But within that division, it's been 3 Super Bowls. And within his division. So if I'm the coach, I'm saying I'm giving you all the owner, I'm saying I'm giving you all the resources that you need. Now watching teams that are inferior to the personnel that I've given you, and they haven't not only won a Super Bowl, they haven't even gone to one. So maybe it's not them, it's you.
When Jimmy Johnson was out here, he talked about some of the things that he did and the edge that he had, and not giving the guys meals on the way home. He had teeth.
Right.
He was able to affect things in a way where everybody knew he had final say. So if you want to put a coach in a position where he doesn't really have final say, where he doesn't have control, where he doesn't have teeth, and then say, go motivate these guys in a way that I would ask a coach in that similar position to do it, it's hard. It's a hard ask.
You think Jason Garrett lasts the season?
Throughout the course of the season? Yeah, I think he lasts the course of the season.
Got to take a break, Coach. Stick around. Coming up, does Michael Thomas have the Saints in position to win the NFC? Next up, First Things First. I skip meals all the time. I have teeth.